there's no jobs over here.
It is noticeable that there's a lot of shut down shops. Jobs at the moment, I'm desperate for a job.
So if you live in Seaview or you live in Cowes and you live in places like that, then perhaps you are well off. But if you live in the towns and in the outer areas of the island, there is a lot of poverty.
And the general thing is, well, I'm not voting Labour and I'm not voting Conservative. And the big thing at the moment here and around is the Reform Party.
John Keats was once so inspired by the Isle of Wight. He wrote, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever." It's the epitome of the sort of romantic, pastoral constituency that Tory MPs dream of representing. Perhaps that's why it's been a Conservative safe seat for the past 2 decades. But this election, the Isle of Wight's been split into 2 constituencies, threatening the future of incumbent MP Bob Seely. But that isn't the only dividing line on the Isle of Wight. The cost of living is soaring and inequality rising, while parts of the island are quite literally crumbling into the sea. What are the issues that matter to voters here?
I think it's a cost of living crisis. There's quite a lot of people that struggle on the island, even though we are quite a well-off sort of, or people think we're quite a well-off community. I think there's still a lot of families that struggle.
Lack of infrastructure, lack of public investment, and there's no jobs over here.
Well, basically, half the shops are closing down, as you may have noticed, and the cost of living is ridiculous.
Jobs at the moment, I'm desperate for a job. Yeah.
What's the job situation like on the Isle of Wight?
Well, I've applied for quite a few, but I haven't been getting any feedback. I got feedback once, and all the others, nothing.
What sort of jobs are you applying for?
Retail, I was trying up that Tesco's just over there, but nothing's happened. I either applied for McDonald's and I got turned down for them. I think it's my age. I think the age I am, and quite a lot of people at my age are having struggled to find jobs. So, yeah.
I mean, I've heard there's been a lot of people have talked about the kind of closed shops on this high street.
Yeah, there's a lot of closed shops here, yeah. I haven't been on the island that long, and it is noticeable that there's a lot of shut down shops, yeah.
Like businesses, seem to be closing down left, right and centre. And it's certainly here in the supermarkets as well, because, I find going in the supermarket, stuff's more expensive because you're paying for it to be shipped over, obviously on the ferries as well, so you've got the more shipping cost than you would if we were in Southampton or Portsmouth or something. So I've noticed that when you go to the supermarkets, it's definitely much more expensive.
I think a lot of people have this image of the Isle of Wight as this kind of idyllic, quite well-off island, but is that true?
Well, we're in the sun now, it's great, and then you look at the backdrop behind us, that's probably the perfect metaphor for what truly is going on beneath the surface. We've got 2,400 families and households on the housing waiting list, 200 in emergency accommodation, lots of insecure employment because of tourist industry, and an education system that really does need to improve, especially around SEND. So, yeah, poverty is a huge issue. You'll probably get a chance to visit a food bank or a food pantry lately, and the story they'll tell you is really quite sad, because usage has gone up by 200-300%. And again, I'm getting into politics because I can't stand by and watch that happen.
I mean, Bob Seely's held this seat since 2017. It's been a Conservative safe seat for the past 2 decades. But there are some polls that predict you're going to dethrone him at the next election. I mean, what do you make of that? Are you feeling confident?
I'm confident. I think to be over pushing it slightly. I think we're about neck and neck from what we can make out. And this time the stories are very different. Last time I stood 2019, people were voting for themselves. This time, an overwhelming number of conversations, people voting for their kids and grandkids and turning away from the Conservatives. So cautiously optimistic is the best I'd say, but every single vote counts because we're neck and neck at the minute. So
one of the things we were chatting about that you said you wanted to bring back, or that politics needs brought back, is truth and integrity. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, we all have to sign up to the Nolan Principles when you're in politics, and I think it's a really good go-to when you are in public office. I think people are desperate for return of honesty and integrity, because at the moment the thing here is that you're all the same, and I will argue to the end of my days I am not the same as Bob Seely. I'm coming into this because I do want to return politics to service, and I do want to return integrity.
Has truth and integrity been missing from politics on the Isle of Wight specifically?
Yeah, I think if you stopped anyone now and put that particular point to them, we've got a current MP, Bob Seeley, who did break lockdown rules at a time when people were following them to the nth degree, not seeing their loved ones, and a story I've heard many, many times, and he was enjoying a sausage at a barbecue.
The MP here is Bob Seeley. I mean, what do you think of him? What do you make of him?
He was supposed to come to a meeting at the Conservative Club, I think it was last year, so we cancelled the bingo, and he never turned up. Yeah, that's the Conservative Club, which we're members of. And he never turned up, so everyone was let down. So the club never got no money that night from the members. No, it was ridiculous.
Will you be voting Conservative then at the next election?
No, I'm not voting Conservative. I'm going for Labour.
I saw Bob Seeley's predicted to lose his seat to the Labour candidate.
Good. Yeah, good.
Why is that good?
Because he hasn't done anything. He keeps promising to do things, and he never does. It's all mouth and no action.
I mean, what do you think the difference would make to have a Labour MP for this constituency?
We haven't had a Labour on this island, numerous years. It's got to be 20 years, probably more. Yeah, 20, 30 years. I mean, I've myself only been on the island 22 years, but previously I used to come before, and it used to be great, but now everything's just gone to pot. It's not very good.
The MP here is Bob Seeley, and he has been since 2017. I mean, what do you make of him as an MP?
Yes, I quite like him. But of course, they've split the island now, so we've got two halves.
Time to go. Yeah, a new broom and all that, sweeps clean. We need somebody to fire.
Who do you think has that fire?
That I don't know. I just can't see who. But
I mean, Bob Seeley's predicted to lose his seat to the Labour candidate. What would you make of having a Labour MP in this constituency?
I wouldn't be that happy. But then I think these days politicians really don't have what it takes to be a politician. Doesn't matter what party they are. They all get had up for something. He's nodding. They all step over the line. It's not right.
I just don't trust the Tory party in general, to be honest. I don't trust many politicians, but I trust someone other than Bob Seeley, basically.
It seems very caring and seems to notice what people want.
I mean, some polls have predicted that he might lose his seat at the election.
Oh, I hope not. No, like I say, I haven't been on the island very long, so I'm hoping he's going to stay in, and we can get everything sorted out with jobs and whatever his policies are.
Historically, Britain's political power has been concentrated in the hands of its landed gentry and private schoolboys, and on the Isle of Wight, it's been no different. Bob Seeley was elected as the island's MP in 2017. But he's not where the Seeley family connection to power, politics and land on the Isle of Wight begin. He's the second member of his family to represent the constituency and the third to contest the seat. And his great-great-great-grandfather was the Liberal MP Charles Seeley, one of the wealthiest industrialists of the Victorian era. And by the end of the 19th century, the Seeley family owned almost the entire western half of the Isle, including Mottiston Manor, where I'm standing now. Members of the Seeley family still live here, and it's where a few years back, Seeley family relative Sophie Hunter married Benedict Cumberbatch. Most of the family's 10,000 acres has been sold off piece by piece. And today, 12 areas of the island place in the top 5th most deprived in the country.
I mean, I live on Pan myself, and I just had no idea how difficult life was for so many people. Some people will say this is our lifeline, this is the only place we can come to where we can talk to people. We're based at Pan Community Centre. It's in the heart of Pan, which is probably one of the biggest housing estates on the island. People can come to us, they can come once a week. They pay £5 and they can get 2 bags of shopping for that. I think there are certain areas on the island that are well off. So if you live in Seaview or you live in Cowes and you live in places like that, then perhaps you are well off. But if you live in the towns and in the outer areas of the island, there is a lot of poverty. The first person that came into us took her children to school and then had to go home and turn all her electricity off. She'd been to 2 places to try and get food bank vouchers and couldn't get them. And the school, which adjoins us, which is next door, were able to give send her our way, so we were able to feed her. So people just haven't got any money. A lot of mental health issues, a lot of people struggling mental health-wise, and there's no work. You know, if you look at the island is seasonal, so therefore, you know, people struggle to find jobs, so it is just lack of money.
What is the kind of job situation like on the Isle of Wight?
It's pretty desperate, to be honest, because a lot of it is seasonal work. So everybody's great, you know, in the summer, everyone can get a job. You come to October, everything shuts down, and then a lot of people are unemployed until March time. And that reflects also, I think, in the larder use, because when people are in work in the summer, it's not so busy. We get to the winter time, coming October, people are having to pay for their fuel, etc., because you're putting your heating on, and the amount of people that come and use the larder is doubling. And it's not just people that are single parents, it's people that have come in and said that they're in their own house, they both work, and they're still not managing to live. Which is pretty desperate, I think.
I mean, I feel like it's a misconception or that food poverty only affects people that are unemployed, but what you're saying there...
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a whole range of people, and it's the elderly as well. People that are on a pension, which you think, you know, at a pension age, you should be able to live comfortably. That's not the case at all. We get pensioners coming in and they're desperate, and we get pensioners coming in and they realise that we are now offering the form filler service, and they are made to realise that they're not claiming the right benefits. A lot of people aren't getting attendance allowance, they're not getting guaranteed pension credit, because the government don't advertise that. They're not going to offer it to them, are they, on a plate? And it's good for us to be in the larder and identify people.
You know, we have people that come to the pantry and say, this is our outing for the week. We don't see anyone. So they come to us just to see people.
It opened my eyes, basically. It really opened my eyes to the fact that, like I said, that people were coming in and they were living hand to mouth, but yet they're working full time. They own their own house and they can't afford to eat. That's not right.
In Ventnor, discontent at the status quo was finding an outlet in the Reform Party. As the pub landlord here, I'm sure you hear a lot of chat. What are the issues on the Isle of Wight that your customers are talking about, concerned about?
The general consensus at the moment is the election and the amount of people we've got millionaires and we've got people that haven't worked for years. We've got a real good mix. And the general thing is, well, I'm not voting Labour and I'm not voting Conservative. And the big thing at the moment here and around is Reform Party. Yep.
I mean, I've heard Reform be described in the race here as the dark horse, and the one that maybe people aren't paying attention to but should be. What is it about the Reform Party and the Reform candidate standing here that people like?
I think the crux of the discontent in the country, not just here, is the Conservatives have now had 14 years to do loads of things, and they've done Sweet Fanny Ann. And you just think you can't believe them anymore, And the Labour Party, we sort of dread, getting the Labour Party back, and the Corbynites and the far left, and it's just a horrible thought, And it's not just Nigel Farage, but the whole. I mean, Richard Tice, the Reform chap. They're a good bunch, and our candidate on the Isle of Wight, I think she's lovely. I've met her twice, but she emails, etc. But she's got all the right ideas, and most of their ideas that they've come up with, they've got the answers as to where they're going to get the money to change all these things. And it's like the illegal immigrants that are coming over on the dinghies and I feel sorry for people coming from war zones. I was in the Merchant Navy, so you come close to things. And it's irrelevant of colour or creed or race or religion. A lot of these people are genuine, so, and all for that, for looking after them. But it's all the gypsies and vagabonds and other people. They're just coming over to rape and pillage, basically. They're going to rape our national health. They're going to pillage and just earn money as fast as they can without having to pay any taxes in. You just think that we need a change.
Is immigration a big issue on the Isle of Wight? Do you have a lot of immigration?
we have people coming over from the mainland. Does that count? We call them overners. I'm still an over because I've only lived here 35 years. But proper corkheads that are families of generations on the Isle of Wight, I think a lot of us, we don't like change in particular just for change's sake.
This election, the Isle of Wight finds itself divided, along the lines of income inequality, political allegiances, and for the first time into 2 constituencies, the outcome of which is yet to be seen.
Do you think having more MPs for the island will help?
No. Because it's the same issues. It doesn't matter if you live in East or West, it's the exact same issues. It's the ferry firms, it's it's housing, it's the economy, it's going to be the same.